All right, and we're back casting the All Invitational 5 here with myself, gdoggcasey, and my buddy Teeth Box.
Yes, sir.
And we're moving into the match of the bracket here. Stark versus gdoggcasey here. ZVT.
Whew.
Wow, look at that yellow Terran. That's
I
bright.
know, it's so vivid. I was looking at that last night. I was playing Wings of Liberty. I was just BSing on the. I was just getting a couple games in, and I loaded up as Yellow Terran, and I'm like, oh my god! It's like looking at the surface of the sun.
Yeah.
That command center is so bright.
It's good though when you're playing the yellow Terran because you stand out more, right? You know where your units are. So
Or it wasn't Wings of Liberty. It was Starbow. I was
uh,
jerking off on Starbow. Yeah, and it was like this epic beaming color. I was blown away. Like I thought it was gonna be like pink, where it's kind of pale, but it's still pretty intense. No, this is like fully saturated, extra bright, extra heavy, in your face yellow, which
yeah.
is sort of like what the way Brood War was like when you used to pick Yellow Terran. Everybody seemed to love Yellow Terran in Brood War.
Yeah, I like the yellow Terran. I like the yellow Protoss also. Yellow Zerg, not so much. It looks a little yucky, but
Yeah, yellow Zerg looks weird. It kind of makes Zerg look weak.
yeah,
I like the menacing colors. Like I feel like green is a very menacing color for Zerg.
yeah,
And I like the purple and the blues. It seems very menacing.
yeah.
Versus like Terran, orange Terran looks good. Red Terran obviously looks good. Yellow Terran looks good. Green Terran, I don't know. I don't really agree with Green Terran, but
All right, well, we should go ahead and introduce these players here, and
agreed.
I'll be modest and introduce the yellow Terran player. In the bottom left corner of Overgrowth, we have All Inspiration Stark.
I like that team logo now. It's a lot
It is
better.
so awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that is super sick.
Yeah.
A lot has changed. Very very pleased to see this. And in the top right, we have the very menacing looking green Zerg player from Team All Inspiration. It is gdoggcasey. And for those of you viewers who may not have connected the dots, my co-caster here happens to have also spawned in the top right of Overgrowth.
Yeah.
So this is his map, this is his game, and we'll have to see.
We'll have to see here. So a little bit of background on Stark, at least as much as I know. He is, or was formerly, a master Zerg player. So he knows Zerg ins and outs. And what he told me was that he took a short break, or maybe actually a longer than short break, from StarCraft. And then when he came back, he didn't want to just pick up where he left off. He wanted to learn a new race and go with Terran, who is coincidentally semi-OP right now. So good choice by Stark to move into to choose Terran, and we'll see how well his Zerg skills translate into Terran here.
Stark, another former history. Ooh, this is nice. I like the Marine first and Delayed Reaper. I was going to say this reminds me of Flash's 111 opening, but we'll have to see. Stark is, regardless of Zerg or Terran, Stark actually is unbelievably impressive at just RTS games in general. Um, he started out playing what I believe is Age of Empires, and his multitasking with Age of Empires became so out of control that when he picked up with StarCraft, he was able to essentially just macro. I mean, his micro with the races is all up to practice, but his macro with every single race for every game that I've ever watched Stark ever play is just it's immaculate. And I don't know if for those of you watching know this, but the website imbabuilds.com, every guide, if not every guide, 90% of every guide on that website was authored by Stark
On Imba builds, really? I didn't even know that.
for each race.
Okay, well that's definitely interesting. I honestly had no idea about that.
Yes, Stark has authored every Imba builds guide that I know of. If there have been some added since, then that would probably take away from the fact that every build has been authored. But certainly 2 years ago, or even just like when Heart of the Swarm first came out, at that point in time, every guide had been authored by Stark.
That is insane. I've learned quite a few when I took a dip into Protoss play. I learned quite a few builds from that website. But we do have some stuff going on in the game here. You can see a whole bunch of links being pulled up by me. Zergling speed about to be finished and Baneling Nest on the way as well. So
Yeah,
you can
nothing
kind of tell
too.
my intentions here.
I was gonna say nothing too different. We're gonna go ahead and see some Hellion Banshee play. I like the delayed Reaper because it doesn't come around the time when Zerg is anticipating it, but it doesn't really also do much. Here we go. Big swarm of Zlings coming in here. What is Stark gonna do to hold this off?
Yeah, he's got no wall here. There are 4 Hellions on the map, which are really good. Actually, more than 4.
There
Actually,
are 5 now.
yeah.
Bane's
Tons.
being morphed. He's gonna have to do some damage with this push.
Oh, definitely. This is what I would call all in. You don't even see any drones being made here. I just got 10 on the natural and just streaming lings now.
Oh my god, those Banelings are so bright.
Yeah, I love it. Green banelings rolling in. There's lots here. They're definitely going to be able to break down this wall. But so many Oh my god, look at all the damage those Hellions do to banelings.
Oh
Wow.
yeah. And now the Lings need to get the surround in order to do the damage, but right now they're surrounding the Marines and they're not surrounding the Hellions. Now they're surrounding the Hellions. Banshee comes out.
Yeah.
His push is over.
Yep. And we look at the oh my god, okay. Well, look at the worker tab here. 28 drones to 29 SCVs, so that puts Terran in a significant advantage here.
With double mules.
Yeah.
I mean that's yeah.
It looks like I'm gonna sit back here and just start to try to drone up my natural. I did notice the Banshee, so there's a couple of spores going down.
That's a good choice. Definitely a good choice, especially since Cloak is already finished. You know, gdoggcasey looking like he's gonna do what he can to try and get some anti-air units here because Zerglings do not shoot up.
No.
They definitely do not shoot up. But Zerg on 2 base versus Terran on 2 base is never where you want to be.
No, definitely.
This is, yeah. And the Spore Crawler just slightly out of position here. Good to defend the mineral line. Now, or I'm sorry, not the Spore, the Queen out of position.
Yeah.
There, now the Queen is being pulled. Oh, but here come the Hellions. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and all that's left to defend is, like, this is, you know, we got Hellbats and Banshees, and we have Zerglings to defend it.
Yeah.
Definitely not the right unit choice here. And there's a
GG is
yeah.
called. I would leave that game solely to not an execution mishap by yourself, but it was mainly just a build order. I think perhaps maybe running the Lings into the main. It's hard to tell. The build order was just Hellion Banshee. If you don't reset the Hellion count, it quickly does what you just saw and just kind of snowballs because the splash damage is so epic.
Yeah, exactly. The reasoning there behind that build was that I know Stark is a very good player, so I was like, I'm just not going to let him macro up.
Yeah.
And I just decided to try something like that. But
well, Stark's in that situation, even if he is going Banshee, you have to just reset the Hellion count. Even if you're just like sacrificing all of your Lings to completely blow out the Hellion count, then they later can't be a bigger threat, is essentially what it is. The Marines, I mean, whatever. Marines are going to later on be just Marines, but Hellions, they don't stay Hellions.
yeah, no, they don't.
They just don't. GG's for last game, though, and we're going to go ahead and move on to game number 2. I'll go ahead and introduce the green Zerg player. Currently down 0-1 in this best of 3. Platinum Zerg up against a legend on Team All Inspiration. Does he have a shot? Can he bring it back? I think he can. I don't think his builds were off. I think it was a matter of just a build order hard counter mistake. But we'll have to see. Can he use the execution to pull out this win to tie up the series? It is All Inspirations gdoggcasey.
What an intro. Wow. And down in the bottom right corner of King Sejong Station, the legendary yellow Terran player from Team All Inspiration, it is Stark, currently up 1-0 with just massively outplayed and great defense for the Baneling bust.
And, you know, I'm not exactly sure what he scouted last game to...
Whoops.
Oops.
Okay,
here we go. I'm not exactly sure what he scouted last game in order to interpret that the Baneling bust was coming.
To be honest, I can't fully remember if he actually scouted at all. It's just like you said, the build he went for, he already had the Hellions out. And, you know, in the leagues that I play, and generally when I'm trying to do a Baneling bust against a Terran, he doesn't have that many Hellions, and he just lined up this amazing shot with like 5 Hellions. They killed like 4 of my Banelings before they were even able to blow up the wall. So
Yeah.
it really took a lot of firepower out of the bust.
I think he must have seen something. Maybe it was the gas, or something indicative that you were going for some sort of super early pressure. Maybe it was the quantity of lings and no other tech. Like usually when you see roaches, you see gasless in the early game and then gas in sort of the mid game. For like a
Yeah.
Baneling bust, you see a little bit more gas after the speed has been researched. So I mean, maybe that's what he scouted with the Reaper. It's hard to tell exactly what he saw with the Reaper at that point, but
Yeah, I think we were more just praising how awesome Stark is during the time he was doing all his scouting with that Reaper. So
possibly.
we weren't 100% focused on what he was really seeing.
This derpy drone
Yeah.
is like trying to figure out exactly where. Oh, that's a little cute move by Stark going ahead and starting the depot
Yeah.
just so that the drone can't leave. He's such a butthole. Stark is just he's like, I'm gonna do some cute micro here.
Yeah, and it looks like I just gave that drone up for dead there. I could have used it to do a little bit of extra scouting, but not really much else to scout here.
No. Whoa. That thing exploded.
Hmm. So we don't have the early gas going down for myself here. We're going to get the pool up, though, after the expo first.
I would assume it's a roach timing from what I've said earlier.
Yeah, it's pretty
But
safe to assume that.
we'll have to see. I'm not calling anything before it happens.
Well,
Looks like this Marine's going to be a little bit annoying. I don't think he's going to get the Overlord though.
no, that Overlord almost goes down, but it is going to just be able to get out of the way here.
One Marine can't do that much damage against an Overlord in that place. It usually has just enough fire under its butt in order to move out of the range of damage here.
Now the Reaper coming around the backside here is going to jump in and get a little bit of scouting off. The Queens are almost done.
Yeah,
The Zerglings just left the base, so there's no Lings here to defend against any of this.
he sees no speed, sees pool, and now he sees, yep, drones at the natural. I think at this point he's safe to assume it's some sort of roach play.
Yeah, generally when you don't see any gas this early. Now, that being said, though, it's definitely possible to drop, like, when you do a roach push, you usually drop the gas at around 5 minutes and 30 seconds, or maybe 6 minutes if you're trying to get an early third, which is something that I probably should be doing here. But I haven't scouted out the expansion yet, so
That's true.
that is not happening. But anyway, what we're going to see is, or what I was saying is that you generally drop the gas down about 6 minutes, and you could go into melee upgrades and speed and bailing speed and all that as well.
It's definitely true. Definitely true.
It's actually something I've been kind of toying around with a bit. The only thing about that is that your early defense is like not there unless you pump out tons of queens. So
Well, while this is all happening, we do see double gas in the main of Stark, which in a 1-1-1 scenario almost guaranteed implies cloak. You don't need that extra gas if you're not going to research cloak. If you're just going to do a gasless Banshee into maybe like, more tanks or some sort of ground tech, you can just sort of forego that second gas. But we see double mules coming down. Tech Lab already coming up on the start port. We're probably going to see a Hellion Banshee play with a focus on cloaked Banshee.
yeah, and you're definitely right. Cloak and Banshee get started as soon as that starport's finished.
Yeah, and here we go. Just, some 2 Hellions and a Reaper, a 2 Hellion escort for that Reaper. That Reaper must feel like a badass. It's just kind of going around, doing a little bit of poking here.
Yeah, and we got the 2 Evos and the Roach one going down.
There we go.
It is a little bit late, though. I would say I'd like to get that up a little bit earlier than that. Because, again, I have no defensive units right now for Hellions, and those 2 Queens blocking off that wall is going to be helpful.
That is very helpful. Hellions do not fight Queens very, very well, for those of you who do not know StarCraft as well as you should. Hellions do not hurt Queens as well as other units do.
Now, the Overlord here, though, is spotting out these Hellions and Reapers sitting over by the 4th base. So I
Hmm.
know where the army unit is, or where the army is. Safe to assume that I can go ahead and get these upgrades and start getting a few roaches out. And now that you're fully saturated on 2 bases, it's pretty much time to just pump out all the roaches. With this build, this is
The
pretty much what I
armory,
do.
I was going to say the armory is done, which means bats. And
Yeah.
so here we go. We have a composition of Marines and what is bats. If nothing else than to just deny the creep spread, but these bats, I mean, Hellions don't fight Queens well, but Hellbats do.
Yeah, the queens are
So
melting here. The Evo chambers are melting. There's not quite enough roaches out here to do a lot of damage, and this Banshee is being really annoying.
So, for those of you also that don't know the firepower behind this build, it's never the Hellbats that are actually doing the damage. The Marines are the glass cannons of this composition, but the bats just act as a buffer to take the damage so that the Marines can be pulled back. Stim not done, and it doesn't look like Stim's even going to be done. It looks like Stark's going right into mech. 2 factories going down, +1 attack for factory or mech upgrades. Bats, Banshees.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, look at this roach speed. It is just about to finish, but that Banshee just killed it just before roach speed was able
Oh
to finish.
no!
Yeah, there's a lot of roaches on the field here, and there's not really a lot of defensive units for Stark at his natural here. But since speed doesn't finish, and these roaches are just going to take such a slow crawl all the way over to the natural, he's going to be able to get enough units out in time to defend this.
At the same time, using that Banshee as a scouting unit. He's got his 3rd orbital up, but he doesn't have much. I mean, this
Oh my
is
god, those roaches. Just walking into firepower there. Yeah, there's a lot of roaches here, and +1/+1 is finished now.
with the 2 Banshees. This will eventually be cleaned up, but is
It's
oh
not
my
even,
god!
it's not
I
even
feel
going
like
to do much damage.
I feel like this should have done more damage, but those Banshees, they do work. Jeez.
Yeah, and a 3rd one to back it up now. So, really not able to do too much here. And the 3rd base going down for Stark. It looks like I'm planning on getting my 3rd base now, but, you know, I'm already behind in bases as it is. It's going to be pretty hard to catch up here.
Yeah, Stark just getting more utility out of his units, essentially. There's just... Oh, and then here comes the slowlings. This is...
Yeah, I'm not quite sure the thinking behind that, to be honest.
Well, lings are never a bad idea to attack workers, but with this many bats on the field, I mean, there really aren't that many at this point, but now here come the tanks. Yeah, anything to just stall for time, but at this point we have triple factory, single starport, reactored Marines, mech upgrades, 3rd base, 6 gas geysers. This is not going to go well. I do think that Stark should be spending his money at this point. You want macro orbitals. I mean, look at that supply block.
Yeah, he's picking that up, though. He's got 6 depots going down at once.
Casey, on the other hand, he's getting his 3rd up. He's already got the extractors already built. Hasn't rebuilt the 2nd Evo, but at this point, why bother? Instead, opting for Hydra speed, or at this point, I'm sorry, Hydra range, and Roach speed to just try and go ahead and secure that Roach Hydra composition. And I personally think in this situation that this is the best thing for gdoggcasey.
Well, yeah, when you know, your initial opening is all about getting the +1 range upgrades and everything. You might as well just stick with your strengths. One issue that I'm seeing here, though, is that I have 1,000 gas right now.
Yeah.
And 200 minerals, so way too many guys in gas. And then getting those 2 extra extractors at the 3rd base as well is just sort of overkill. It's kind of like a bad habit. Just
right.
Make them all at once just so I don't forget them later. But,
yeah, but now we have this like scary army composition kind of building up for Stark. This is a lot of tanks, a lot of Banshees, a lot of things that shoot ground targets.
yeah, definitely.
And shoot ground targets hard. Interesting fact, for those of you who want to experiment with mech or want to play mech, or even for the Zergs, when going up against mech, if you are a Zerg player and you scout a mech composition-based army and they have Widow Mines, it is in your favor because of the range that Widow Mines have versus the Hydras, but also because Widow Mines just shoot once and essentially that's it. they take up supply that could otherwise be used to build like Hellbats or something that has a little bit more buffer damage or a little bit more utility. Because with overseers, um, Widow Mines are not very good for a Roach Hydra based composition. So for you Zergs out there, when you see Widow Mines, rejoice. Because that is the best unit that the mech player could build to help you in your quest. Big engagement starting here. Oh my god.
Yeah, there's quite a few Roach and Hydras here to defend against this, but the tanks are spread out very nicely. Hellbats and Marines just such a good composition, especially with these Banshees hammering from the skies. These tanks are just murdering every Hydra on the field right now.
Yeah. The focus fire too on those Hydras. Oh my god.
Yeah, was able to take care of the bio units, but tanks still alive, Banshee's still alive.
Realistically, the Marines were just there to
Soak up damage, pretty much.
yeah, basically.
Now the
Tank
tank
spread.
numbers are kind of dwindling a little bit. A couple tanks are injured, but you can see I'm trying to focus down that one tank that my overseer's just hovering above here, trying to kill it.
There it goes.
Yeah,
Finally.
but now the Banshees are murdering all my drones at the third.
Oh yeah, this is bad. Meanwhile, Stark.
Look back at his natural ramp. He's got like the same army he moved out with,
Yeah.
just sitting back.
Well, and for a mech army, you wanna push in waves. You don't want to make like a stream. You don't want to have like a constant parade of mech units across the map because they're slow. They're weak, kind of by themselves. They're basically used for zone control. They're not used for, single burst fired or continued burst fired damage that Hatchery just finishing.
That
Death,
Banshee,
right?
I know that Banshee had like 2 hits left, and it just was just able to take out that third base. Of course, very similar to what happened with the Roach speed earlier on.
But now it's clear. Although at this point, if mutas even were remotely a possibility, this army of Starks would be gone. But Stark knows this. Stark knows that it's a Roach Hydra composition with no third. So a few mutas here aren't really going to do the damage that needs to be done in order to shut down this epic Hellbat tank.
Yeah, and now look at this army moving right underneath my Overlord here. And
Plus 3.
Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, okay.
Yep.
GG.
Plus 3 just being done.
Yeah,
And
absolutely
there it
no.
goes.
So it was a very good game by Stark. Obviously, I feel like I had at least a little bit of a chance defending the earlier push there, but just the macro was way too good behind it. So.
Yeah, the turning point of that game was when the first Roach Warren went down and the second Evo went down because without those upgrades to match the mech player, it's extremely, 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 extremely difficult for Zergs to catch up, especially when mech Terrans on 3 orbitals. When the Zerg's only on 2 base, so it's more of a game of attrition at that point. But very, very good game, very good execution. Mistakes were made, but it did not take away from the excitement and the action of that game. Congratulations
exactly.
to Stark moving on.
And
I was
definitely surprised by the amount, like the skill he had. I thought that since he was a Master Zerg player, I have so many issues playing Terran. I can't grasp it, and I was like, okay, maybe I have a chance. But obviously, no.
No, it was a very good attempt, and I would say success in pushing back to take the little victories for what they're worth because they all matter. They all snowball.
Yeah.
In any case, though, congratulations to Stark. Moving on, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into the next game. I don't have the bracket open. G-Dog, please.
Well, the next game is actually not going to be one that we're able to cast because it's between Cyrex and Gumball Dead. Gumball Dead is a new addition to the team, and he seemed like someone who was going to be pretty active. But then ever since day one, he never said anything again in chat. So Cyrex was unable to get a hold of him, and Cyrex is unfortunately just going to get the free win here and move on to the next round. He'll be facing Stark in the round of 8 next Sunday.
Good games, good games.
Yeah, so we're going to take a really short break here to get ready for the next matchup. The next matchup is my personal matchup that I'm really excited to see. It's a rematch between Einherjar and Fruit Potato. And by rematch, I mean last season, season 7. I think it was the last week of the season, actually, before the playoffs started. Einherjar played a really key game against Fruit Potato when Fruit Potato was on the other team. I can't remember the name of the team now. Damn it. I'll grab that during our break. But yeah, and Fruit Potato actually owned Einherjar in that game. And it was really surprising because he's our MVP and hadn't lost a game before that. So as soon as both these players joined up for the tournament, I was like, okay, round 1, they're going because I want to see a rematch here. So stay tuned, guys. We're going to see that coming up very shortly. Just taking a short break, and we'll be right back.
Fantastic.